virus, according to the fire department. And that guy didn't even have it. They're not sure if he got it or not, but he's alive and well. And then
Okay.
this
All
morning
right.
on the radio,
Let me call the meeting to order.
4,000 cases in Alameda County. Now, who's wrong?
Let's call the meeting to order.
You're ordered.
And let's start off with our Pledge of Allegiance. So I don't have a flag right close by, but
I got one. There you go.
there we go. Okay, I knew somebody would. There we go. So if everyone would repeat after me. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the
to
flag
the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Okay, let me take a quick roll call. I think I have everybody, but Brian Gephardt, you're here.
Here.
Carla,
Present.
Ashok,
Here.
Jeff Bowen, not here. Kathy Lang,
Here.
Siv Mahante,
Here.
Susan Howe. Susan Howe? No, okay. Paul Whitman,
You can see me upside right.
Vanita Burma,
Yeah.
Ryan Kilgore,
Here.
Randy Mayhew. Randy, you're on mute.
I know.
Kelly McMahon. Kelly's on mute. She's here. Eric Chu,
Here.
he's here. Gerald Green,
Present.
and there is one more. Oh, that's Sharon, right?
Yes, here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and have I overlooked anybody by accident? Please announce if I didn't call your name.
If you're
Okay, good.
not your name.
All right. Okay, well, welcome everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. There's been a lot going on in the last month since our last meeting with the virus and everything else that's going on around our cities. So I hope you're well and safe and everything is fine. There were 4 attachments that went out over the last week or so, and then I think I sent them all out again today. So hopefully you have those. The first one would be the agenda. The second one would be the minutes from last month. The third one would be Kelly's project status report, an Excel spreadsheet. And then the fourth one would be a draft of the June finance report, which was a multi-page PDF. So hopefully everybody has those, and you either have them on your computer that you can look at, or you printed them at home. Obviously, we can't distribute them, but those are the handouts for today. And we'll keep going. The first thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the meeting from May 13th.
I moved that we approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Is there any corrections, additions, any modifications that are to be proposed for the minutes? If not, I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Kathy seconds, thank you. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? No? Okay,
No.
thank you. We will call those approved then. Thank you.
Good work on your part, Chip. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, oral and written communications. Any public comments or anything that came in via voicemail, email, smoke signal, snail mail?
Carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeons, yes, we accept those. Kelly or Randy or Sharon?
No, I did not receive anything.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna record that as a none then for the month. That's good. So if we're ready, then we'll go on to the April 2020 quarterly budget report. And that should actually say now June, because I didn't think we were going to actually have one this month, Brandy. I thought we were going to be next month that we would.
Yeah,
Get a
it was a
quarter.
surprise to me too.
Okay, all right. So, Brandy, we're going to turn it over to you, and
Okay,
Kelly
I'm gonna.
is backup.
I was gonna share my screen, but it says disabled by you.
I can set that up.
Okay.
I think I can set that up.
Unless you want to share the document.
No, I don't have it on this on my iPad.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you the host for the moment, and then
Okay.
you'll be able to share your screen.
All right.
I think I'm going to make host. Yes. So you are the host, and you can share your screen.
All righty. Let me find it on my. Okay, not that. All right, let me close this. Can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All righty. So
Yeah.
last time you guys asked me to maximize it as best I could. So I've done it at 100% because, so you could see it.
Looks good.
All right. So not much has changed. We're still at, I don't know if you can see me moving my mouse around on the screen as a pointer.
It's
Yes,
showing
I
there.
can- We
Okay,
can
so-
see it.
Okay, great. So the $669 million number has not changed. And it ties to this $669 million number. That's why I just want to show you the consistency and how it ties together.
Yeah, match it.
These numbers have not changed. Now I'm gonna dip down to the very last page of the document to show you that number hasn't changed. I just don't want you to think I'm going too fast. That $669 million number ties here. I just want to show you that has not changed. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to the top page. So last time our expenditures were 273 million. I'm just rounding.
Yep.
And now they're 282. So we've spent approximately almost $9 million in expenditures since the April CBOC report. Not a lot of change here, but the good news is, and so I've made that note here. I'm going to try and make a little circle here at the bottom of the screen. So you guys are aware Prop 39 is the California Clean Energy Jobs Act, and that's paying for the LED lighting project that's district-wide right now. There was $757,000. I'm trying to circle the number for you.
Hey, Brandy, let me interrupt for just a second. Chip, can you
Yes.
get Kelly back in the meeting, please? She got kicked out.
Oh,
Kelly got booted. Okay,
Sorry.
thanks for letting me know that.
got it. All righty. Sorry about that. All right. So we had last year when we went to encumber that we had 700.
Actually, Brandy's going to have to do it because she's the host.
I already did it.
Oh, you did it. Okay,
I
good.
was like, sorry, I didn't know it was on my screen.
Okay.
So we had 757. I know the number's repetitive, and it's awesome. That's how I remember it. But so anyway, we had $757,000 left to encumber, and there was no place to encumber it. So what we did is we did what we call an expenditure transfer, and we relieved or released money from Measure E, or the obligation from Measure E. So that freed up the money. So originally, if you look on your prior CBOC report, you would see that the budget was listed at $2.9 million. And we released $757,757. So now the new budget will be listed as $2151 or $2.151 million.
And that's for the Prop 39?
Yes. So what that did is that released the obligation from Measure E, freed up that money, and we were able to put it into program contingency. So I'm going to circle program contingency here. You see? So last time on the April report, it was 13.037, and now it's increased by $757,000. So it's 13.795. So that's the good news. Just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely. I
See,
knew you would, Brian.
I don't want to disappoint. So I guess, why was the Mission Valley Elementary School modernization budget?
Why was it
selected?
affected?
Yeah.
It had an HVAC project that qualified for the Prop 39 qualifications. And so that's why we picked that one.
That helps. Because I think
Okay.
there was a lot of other Prop 39 funds spent. Well, actually, I don't know. That maybe it's more of a question. There were other Prop 39 funds spent that helped offset previously planned bond projects. Right?
There is one other project. It is I'm gonna zip down to the bottom. So right here, hold on, I gotta pop that off my screen here. So American High School was funded with $2.1 million from Prop 39. I don't know if you can see this footnote. So it's funded in a different manner. So it actually looks like it's increased the budget, and I can pop up there when you're ready. Whereas, and then this is just reiterating the note on the first page.
I think, if I understand correctly, the core point is approximately $3 million of Prop 39 funds were used for Measure E projects.
To supplement, yes.
Thus relieving some of the pressure on Measure E. So I think that's
Absolutely
a good success story.
Yes. Yeah. So the other half of that is when we get to the end of the LED lighting project and all of our expenditures and all of our change orders or whatnot are all accounted for, if there's any money left, it will go back into Mission Valley. So there's more money that we can expenditure transfer out. I just can't guarantee what that number is going to be until we're at the very end of the project. So the good news is it could increase this number here, and therefore increase project. It's going to be what we call budget dust, but it's still good. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
How much
Did you say budget dust?
Yeah, anything under 100,000 in my mind is budget dust.
I've been in project management a long time. I've never heard that. That's a great
Really?
term. That's a great term. I love it.
Oh, good. I was like, oh gosh, I hope you weren't offended by it.
Oh, heck no.
Anyway, that's it.
You gotta have a little fun.
Right, exactly. If you can't laugh at things, then what do you have, right?
Can you remind me of what our total Prop 39 funds were? If anybody knows approximately, I'm just trying to remember.
It would be me. It's like $7.5 million. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. We were able to leverage about half of that to help with the Measure E. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Do you want me to go back to the first page, or?
So what? Tell me again why the contingency went up about 800K.
What we did is we released some monies that were spent from Measure E and
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Okay.
moved it to having been spent from Prop 39.
Okay, got it.
And I can go up to the project if you want to see it. Here's the footnote. Here's number 3. This is Mission Valley. That's the new figure that's listed.
Yep.
And so actually there are $399,000 in potential sweeps at the end of the fiscal year. So more money that will eventually go back into program contingency. But we don't do the sweeps, but once a year, annually, after all allocation costs have been posted. Yeah.
Did this financial report and the cost to complete estimates that went into it, did it include any virus impacts?
No, not yet.
No, not at this point. Not at this point.
Never existed.
And that's because you didn't attempt to, or you don't have any?
No, it's that we have them, but the costs are coming in daily. So we
Mhm.
are not able to
Uh,
sort of capture those for the sake of the annual closeout. So we are still getting costs in from our vendors
Okay,
every day. And so we gave them a deadline about the end of our fiscal year. And then we won't really have that till sometime in July for you guys or early August
Mhm.
okay.
as the costs are coming in and accounted for.
Are you expecting any big ones or is it all kind of budget dust?
No, it's not budget dust. We'll have some serious expenses. It's just that I always hate guesstimating because I have a tendency to be really conservative. And then if the number's larger than what I think, then everybody's like, oh my gosh. So I
Mhm.
would prefer not to guesstimate and just wait on the actual dollars and cents when they come in.
Okay. All right.
We are definitely going to feel it, but to what extent, I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
All right, you want me to stop sharing my screen?
You can turn it over. Well, first of all, are there any more questions on the budget and the finance report? If not, let's have a motion to accept the budget report in a second.
I'll move acceptance.
Second that.
Okay, any further discussion, comments, or feedback? If not, all in favor? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just a note to let you guys know that this same report we'll be giving to the board at the next meeting as an update as well.
Okay. All right, good. Okay,
Thanks,
all
guys.
in favor of approving this report, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Okay, Randy, very good, approved.
Thank you.
Okay, and if you can either turn it over to Kelly or turn it back to me, and I'll turn it over either way.
It's already turned back to you.
Back to me. Okay, Kelly, you want to share your screen, right?
Sure.
Okay, let me make you the host. Whoops.
Let's see. Now, I apologize if my screen starts freezing. It's been acting very chaotic over the last 2 days. But I will pull up this. I had this pulled up for us earlier.
Brandy is the host. Okay, Brandy, you are the host, so you can share your screen.
Okay.
Oh, Brandy is still the host. Sorry, that's what it said. It said Brandy is still the host.
Kerry, don't worry. I burnt my laptop last week completely.
Yeah, I'm not seeing.
Okay.
If you
I will
go-
change it. I'm gonna change
There
it to
it is.
multiple participants
Oh,
can
it
share. How's
says
that?
it says host disabled. Oh, there it is. There you go. Okay, share. Can everybody see my screen where it says Measure Project Update?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, great. And just to confirm, this was the format that you had wanted the report in, right, Chip?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, great.
It's
I'm
really
just
easy for us to follow in this format. That's all.
Sure. I'm just going to close this out so we have full screen. And oops. There you go. Okay. So what is in front of you all is the Measure Project Update. So as this has been organized, all of our projects are in design are here in the front. The next black line says design/construction, which means it's part of the project is in design and part of it has started construction. The next section is construction projects that are currently under construction and the level of progress that's occurring. And then closeout is projects that are actually being completed or have already closed out and are fully occupied. So just a quick review. Is this large enough for everybody to see? I was going to see if I can make it bigger since I'm kind of blind, but let's see. It's not letting me zoom. All right. Well, our first project is Centerville Middle School. currently it is in design. It's at 50% construction documentation. And we are currently in DSA, and we received several back check comments that we're now working on and will basically respond to so that we can get our formal approval. So there was a little hiccup with this particular project. So Chip, when you were asking me earlier about what impacts COVID has had on our projects, it's actually delayed all of our projects that are in design. So we have had to basically push our schedules forward anywhere from 6 months to a year based on where we are in the approval process. So when we went into shelter in place, DSA also went into shelter in place. And so anything that was either submitted, going to be submitted, or had an appointment to be submitted in the month of March or April was tabled until May, June, and July. So unfortunately for us, most of our projects hit in those windows. So we are now, because of those approval delays, feeling the impact of the schedule being pushed forward. So fortunately for Centerville, we have a little wiggle room because we met with DSA last month, had a really great phone call, and we were able to resequence our work in the sense that we don't have as many increments, but now we've consolidated some of the increments and some of the scope of work submitted to DSA, and they have agreed to accelerate on portions of the review. So we're not going to hit our target date of what we actually wanted, which would have been fall of this year, but we are expected to get our approvals within the winter break period, which will still allow us to build on time without missing our intended construction schedule. But until we actually are there, I'm just going to hold my breath.
Okay.
Then the project budget is $90 million, $233,148. And the scheduled beneficial use, which means we'll have it ready for kids and teachers to be in, is fall 2022. The next project is our Washington High School Theater.
So on that one, just as an example, did
Sure.
the fall 2022, is that later than originally planned, or is that the same as originally planned?
No, that's actually the same. What has slipped in our schedule is our actual times for review, and any corrections that we would have had time to make have now been compressed. So whatever we get back, we have to immediately turn it around and hopefully have no major comments that are going to cause us to spend time more than like a 30-day window to get everything back in and to keep pace with getting back on track. So with Centerville, what we ended up doing, rather than having two separate applications for our interim housing and then our permanent housing, we were able to combine those applications and actually have one application for interim and permanent housing, which kind of squashed the schedule back down so that instead of having these long periods where the two were evaluated, we then pushed it together, and we're confident that we'll get an approval. It goes in, I believe, on June 17th. They've promised they'll get us approvals back by the end of the summer. So I'm just going to hold my breath because they've made promises before, but we're hoping they stay on target, because then that will allow us to finish up our construction documents and actually bid before winter so that we can have a spring start and actually make our target. So
good.
Why is the project design phase getting delayed? Maybe if you can provide a little bit of education for me.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear what you said because my internet kind of cut out.
Earlier, a few minutes back, you said that project design phase is delayed.
Yes.
And
so what that means is, as we're developing projects, we have 5 different phases that a project goes through. So your initial scope development is when you sit down with a client and you go through, hey, we want to figure out exactly what you want, and you gather data. That's a certain period of time. Then once you leave scope development, or what we call schematic design, then you go into design development. So we've already defined what the scope of work is going to be, all the particulars of exactly what's necessary for the school. And that particular idea is then taken and interpreted into the construction documents. And so we're right in the middle of that phase of work.
Thank you.
So I hope that was simplified enough.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Can you guys excuse me 1 second? I'm trying to turn this phone off so it doesn't keep going off on me. Aisha, call your brother because I'm on a call. Sorry about that. Okay. The next project we have is Washington High School Theater. So this project is actually still in design development, and what we do in design development, we do a preliminary application to DSA. And for this particular project, we were scheduled to be in DSA in March. But of course, the shelter in place occurred. Then they said, okay, well, we're going to try and get you guys sometime in April. Well, of course, the April deadline passed. Then May, they said, oh, we're going to get you guys by May 25th, which was Labor Day weekend. That didn't happen. So now we actually have submitted plans as of last Thursday, and we're hoping to get tentative approval by the end of this month. If we don't get it, this particular project will slip forward by about 6 months. But if we stay on target by getting it approval by the end of the month, we can actually keep our target date of having the theater completed by spring of 2021. In the event it does slip, we're in the process of looking at some alternatives of how we can still accomplish some portions of the scope of work without totally missing our spring 21 date. So all I can say is we're in the process, and we'll keep you guys updated on that one. The next one we have is Hopkins Middle School conversion. And as you guys know, Hopkins moved into, they completed phase 1, which was the first building, the new classroom buildings, and the new multipurpose room modernization. That move occurred the week of May 15th. So teachers were moved out of the old facility and moved into the new building. Surplus furniture was moved to Marshall site. And so other schools were able to actually go through, prior to the demolition of the old building, and identify furniture that could be reused at their site. So we were able to salvage probably about 80% of the furniture at Horner that is now redistributed throughout the district at other school sites that, either had furniture that was old and dilapidated and needed to be replaced, or they were in need of additional resources because they didn't have enough seating or enough chairs and tables or countertops or things like that in their labs that can be reused until their schools actually go under modernization. So we were able to salvage, I believe, countertops in 4 of the science labs. So those are going to Thornton and Washington. And I believe that most of the tables and chairs were distributed amongst, I believe, 7 or 8 elementary schools. And I don't have the list of the schools off the top of my head. But quite a bit of resources were able to be salvaged and reused. So one of the next things that we're going to
Kelly, are we, just to clarify, are we talking about Hopkins or Horner? Because you had
we're
mentioned.
talking about Horner. We're talking about Horner.
Because Hopkins is the name that's listed
sorry.
on.
I'm sorry. It's so small. It looked like Horner to me. I'm so sorry. Thanks for clarifying. So Hopkins, well, what I'll do, I'll finish Horner and then I'll go back to Hopkins. So Hopkins is actually in construction, and it's split up between construction and completion, because half of it is completed and the other half is actually starting construction. So clarification for that. So getting back to Hopkins, Hopkins is also in design development, and that particular school is heavily impacted by COVID-19 shelter in place. So because of our DSA review was missed in March, we are now submitting again at the end of this month, which, because we didn't get our submission in March and we didn't get our preliminary approval in June, it's now forced us to slip our schedule forward 6 months. And so we looked at the schedule and said, is it going to impact instruction? And is it going to impact our budget if we try and accelerate or resequence work? In working with the site principal, Corey, we went through about 5 different scenarios with him and looked at what dates are going to fall where, what programming he has going on at the site, how are we going to navigate from moving students mid-year versus moving students at the end of the year? How is it going to impact, if we move during testing time? Is it going to impact the instructors if they were to come, at spring break and move and try and, so we went through all these different scenarios. Finally, the best conclusion for us and the best option for him to maintain continuity at the site, for us to have a clean schedule where we could actually accomplish the work without impacting the school in a negative way and maintaining our budget relatively closely, was to actually extend the schedule by 1 full year. So this has been discussed with the administration. We presented it to them, I want to say 2 board meetings ago, and I believe we're going to be presenting it again in a public forum in this next board meeting for discussion. But that particular project is the one that's the most impacted by the COVID-19. So instead of it being fall 2022, it's now going to be fall 2023. And so that budget is for $84 million, 61,263. So any questions on Hopkins? Nope. Okay. The next one is our Group 1 elementary modernizations. So these are the next group of elementary schools that were identified as increment 1 or Group 1, I believe was it November or December of last year. And right now we are in the process of completing the evaluation of the scope of work and documenting each site in terms of what work based on the budget can actually be accomplished. And so we're anticipating having that scope of work completed by the end of the summer, so that we can then begin to hire architects and construction managers for this, as well as take the budgets to the board for each project and actually bid that work out sometime in 2021. And the other project that is on the list is Kennedy High School. And we actually had our kickoff meeting today, and that project is in schematic design. And as you all recall, the board approved us expanding the scope of work for Kennedy to include the music room, a lot of work outside, lighting, bathroom refresh, and I believe HVAC and some paving work. And that project is $25,502,130. And it is set to be completed in fall, of 2022. And so I think our meeting went very well today. The principal was on the line, as well as 2 of his site staff who are responsible for maintenance and operations, and also our M&O team and our architect and our CM team were on the call, and we all went through the scope of work and made sure that everybody was clear on what their task was, and that the scope of work was clearly identified in terms of what that school was going to be getting. So we're hoping that we'll finish, as I said, the schematic designs by the end of the summer, so that we can then begin design development and construction documentation to be finished sometime, hopefully by the end of the year or early spring of next year.
Kelly, can I just ask, going back to the group one, those elementary
Sure.
schools, are all of those schools getting the HVAC study, or is it just some of them, or?
No, all of the ones that are identified here under group one are included in this HVA study.
Okay.
So every site will have its own evaluation. And when that evaluation is done, we'll have an opportunity to know exactly what's necessary at each site to bring it either up to code and in compliance, or if there's something that's grossly not working, we can have identified and addressed and be able to look at to see how we can fix it.
And I know the completion date is to be decided, but is the hope to try to do it during the summertime, or is that too
Well, depending
that
upon what
too-
scope of work we find is necessary, then
Mhm.
that's when we're going to decide and figure out when we can actually do it. Either maybe during Christmas time or possibly in the summertime. Or if it's substantial enough, we may look at providing interim housing on the same site and maybe closing off a section of the building and getting the work done and then moving students around. But we won't know until we actually identify the extent of the work that's necessary.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Kelly,
thanks.
Kelly, this is Vinita.
Yes.
I had a request. Is it possible for you to add 2 more columns over there? One for the original cost versus the cost that we'll be paying going forward.
Say that one more
Other-
time. The original versus what the
The,
actual
uh,
cost is?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
if
then-
you look in your executive summary of the financial report, we actually have that information in there.
Okay. And then the other will be, when was the project supposed to finish? When do we expect it to finish now?
So original scheduled date versus new date.
Yes.
Alrighty. Projects. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just taking my notes to make sure I get it right. Okay. So are there any questions on the design projects that we've just discussed?
Can I ask about Kennedy?
Sure.
So I guess I wanted to, I don't know if this analysis has been done yet, but I'm curious if Kennedy's HVAC, I guess looks easy or hard. I know, the American HVAC project was a very challenging project, but that's also a very challenging different site. But I thought Kennedy had a similar system that needed to be replaced, and that I was
They
curious
are
how the risk
actually
that is.
looking at leaving the central plant design that's currently in place and going to packaged units. So that's part of what's going to be happening over the next 2 months, is evaluating and doing physical on-site measurements and evaluations to see what that actually will look like for that school, and make a determination, one, if the scope is too comprehensive for the budget that we have, or if it's appropriate for what we've already budgeted for. So I hopefully will be able to answer that for you by the end of August.
Okay. I know American was a big surprise, so hopefully.
Well, we're crossing our fingers because Kennedy is pretty old too. And I know that we've had a couple surprises over the last 2 weeks just with doing some investigative work that, it's causing us to kind of scratch our heads and say, let's make sure we get this right so that we don't open up Pandora's box and not be able to close it back up.
I appreciate the transparency on that too.
Oh, you're welcome. So any more questions before I go to the Thornton Middle School conversion project? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So for Thornton is our next middle school that is being started. So as you guys know, it was broken up into 4 different increments. And the reason it was broken up into increments was to, one, give us an opportunity, rather than waiting for all of the construction documentation to be finished, to actually get started in phases. And so we have our increment 1, increment 3, and a portion of are increment 4 in pre-application approved. So actually this week, our construction management team and our design builder block construction mobilized on site. They actually mobilized, I think it was May 28th, but they're actually, the fencing is up, the trailers are in, power's on, they're starting to bring in their supplies. And so this summer, we will actually have site utility work started, as well as the athletic fields will be under construction. So there'll be quite a bit of work started and in motion if and when we come back to school in August. We have our modernization, our new classrooms, and our admin building are in DSA being reviewed right now. And I'm hoping by the end of this month, we will have a firm approval or non-approval of whatever we submitted, because we've just been kind of going back and forth with DSA on the foundation and the soils that were evaluated there. And we finally got concurrence today between our geotechnical engineer, DSA's engineer, and California Geological Society to say, okay, we all agree that this is the best solution. Now go ahead and design it accordingly. So that was like super exciting today to actually have that happen. So this project is currently in 3 different places, but we do have activities starting. Currently, the budget is $76 million, roughly 77 if you count and change. And it is anticipated that we will still be able to have occupancy fall of 2022. Now, this particular schedule for this school may also slip if we do not get our June approval from DSA as anticipated. So if we miss our June date and we have to resubmit and can't get an approval by October of this year, this particular project is also going to slip forward, and we're going to slip into spring of 2023. But since we're still in there, we're crossing our fingers that we keep everything and make our milestones and hold this particular schedule. But you guys, of course, will know as soon as we know whether or not we get those approvals on time.
Hey, Kelly, are the DSA employees Fremont Unified School District employees or city employees?
No, they are state of California employees. It's called the Division of State Architect, and so we're kind of like clients of theirs. You know, we have to go to them to get approval for our stuff. So, and they also are working remotely, and they're working with reduced staff. So we are kind of at their beck and call as to how quickly or how slowly they'll process our information. But, you know, we're very good about staying on the phone and reaching out to them and saying, hey, you know, we really need your help in processing this.
Why are they on reduced staff also? I understand the remote part. Why reduced staff?
It's in talking with their regional director, they have several employees that were high risk, that were like totally affected by this and are not working during this time.
Even remotely?
Yeah, even remotely. I believe that 1 or 2 of their reviewers actually tested positive for COVID and were like hospitalized. And so a lot of the work that is reviewed in Northern California has actually been sent to the Southern California office. And so that's causing a delay because, of course, those reviewers are not familiar with the projects, but it's just another way of delaying our stuff even further. But they are moving and they are processing stuff, and they are hiring third parties, but they don't really like to do that because they found in the past that those third parties don't always adhere to their standards. And so there's a lot of mistakes that are caught later in the process that also cause it to be slowed down. So
okay.
And Chip, just FYI, DSA has to approve anything fire life safety. So everyone state that's doing public works, if it involves fire, life safety, basically buildings that house people, has to go through.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, good.
Kelly, a
Yes.
question, not a question, a suggestion.
Mhm.
Is it possible for you to click on the three dots on your right side, on the screen of your right side,
The three
right
dots
side of your screen,
here.
on top, just below the cross?
Oh, well, let me move this over. There you go. Okay.
No, the
Oh.
three dots above that.
3 dots above that. This one.
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
And then
there's my
zoom.
Zoom.
That's what I was saying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is that better?
Yes, that is better.
Oh, that's a lot better for me too. Thank you so much, Benita.
You're welcome.
Okay. So that was Thornton. Any more questions on Thornton? Okay. Let's move on to construction. So currently right now, we have Grimmer Elementary School fence and gate modification. So this project was originally, I guess, Gerald, when did you guys say you guys bid this out before? Was it last year and it didn't, nobody responded to it because the scope of work was kind of not clear?
Yeah, I think, well, the first time we bid out was in August, and then we had a change to it, I believe in November, that we bid out separately. And that's the one that we didn't have any response to.
Okay. Okay. So this actually is a pretty important project. So we have picked it back up and we are now rebidding this. And so it is currently, requests for proposals are on the street and bids are due back on June 19th. And we are anticipating having this work completed during the summer. And the budget is $3,772,580. So once again, we'll cross our fingers that we get some responsive bidders this time and hopefully can get this work done pretty quickly. The other project that's listed.
There's a,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but
No
there's
worries.
more scope to this project in the 3.7 million than just the fence and gate modifications, right? Just wanted to.
Actually, if I could speak to that, we actually anticipate the fence and gate modification. We're estimating it to be around $100,000. I think the 3.7 is reference from the original Grimmer modernization project.
That's correct.
Is it that this is the remainder of the project and the rest has already been done, or is it all being done?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
The
what
notice, the notice of completion was already out for Grimmer, and this is just like a one-off project that we couldn't get any responses. We couldn't get anybody to do it. So to go back to the drawing board and now it's back on the street.
Okay.
That's what I guessed. I just wanted to highlight that that it
Sorry
wasn't
if I
3.7 million in
toes.
fencing.
I'll make that correction for our next meeting so we can have that in the narrative. The next one is the Prop 39 lighting replacement. And as Brandy had expressed, we're pretty close to being completed by that, with that. And the budget listed here is $5,068,160. But as she said, we kind of were closer to $7 million in terms of the dollars that were expended under Prop 39. All the projects are, overall project is 99% complete. They are in the process of finishing up some punch list items. I believe the CM team and the vendors are meeting with all of the site principals this week and getting their approval and sign off that the work has been completed. Testing and inspection has been done, I believe, on at least 90% of them. And I know this week there are several projects that are being finalized. Our deadline, of course, is June 15th per the state of California. And we are knocking on wood that we've met our deadline, and we will be continuing paperwork closeout beyond June 15th. And as is noted here, the CEC has extended the Prop 39 project deadline by 1 year. And that will allow us, if there are any loose ends or any additional things that pop up that were not addressed or are warranty items, that we can actually complete them and still recapture those dollars from the state through the rebate program. The next item that's on the list is American High School. And that is currently under construction and ongoing work throughout the summer and into the fall. Currently, the HVAC upgrades are, I think they're about 62% complete. The IT upgrades are ongoing, as well as the roofing repair is ongoing. I believe that they're working on one roof next week that they're anticipating to have done in 1 week time. And so they're, going across the campus and completing various scopes of work outside of that new structure that was already built and occupied at American right now. And that budget, overall budget, is $25,734,422. And overall completion is expected fall of 2020, or I always say fall is actually winter because it will close out probably by December at the latest.
But occupancy could be fall.
Yes, occupancy, we intend to have occupancy available for staff and students by mid to late August when school starts.
I know lots of people will be very happy about this project.
Well, I hope so, because they're really working hard over there to make sure that they make their milestones. And
That's going to be with a fully operational HVAC?
yes.
in the
Actually, the
fall?
chiller has already been installed and tested, and so far so good. We haven't had any problems, and the rest of the HVAC upgrades are ongoing because they're doing it wing by wing. So they took everything. The central plan has been kind of broken down, and now new chillers in, and they're putting in the rest of the system throughout the campus. So cross our fingers that everything continues to go well and we don't have any surprises, because I'm actually sick of surprises at this point, but it's part of construction, right?
Yeah.
So any questions on American? Okay, so the next one is Horner, and I apologize for mixing up Hopkins and Horner. I do it all the time, so I do apologize. So Horner is the new structure is completed. As I said before, teachers had moved in. They are still not allowed to actually occupy the building in the sense of they can't go in and unpack their classrooms. But we are in the process of receiving substantial completion and owner occupancy for that facility. And once that occurs, then they can actually then go back into the building and start to unpack their classrooms and prepare for the return of the students in August. The work that's going to be going on over the next, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks, is training for the new systems for the new building and any new equipment that's on site. And currently, the old building demolition is going to start tomorrow. So they've done all of the abatement. As we said, we moved all the furniture, got all of the equipment. Our district M&O folks went through and they took out panels, they took out backflow preventers, they took out all the equipment that can be reused and installed someplace else or stockpiled as extra. They did that about 2 weeks ago. So tomorrow is the first day of demo. And so we'll cross our fingers that we don't run into any issues. So with Horner, though, we did have an issue over the last 2 weeks with Hirsch and Horner because they're connected with the same water line and the same gas line. So when the water was turned off from Horner, the water and gas were turned off for Hirsch as well. And we weren't aware of that. And so, I don't know, Gerald, what did it take us? About 10 days to finally work through a solution to basically split that line and put 2 new cutoff valves that one feeds Hirsch and one feeds Horner so that the water could be restored to Hirsch. The gas is still not back on because we actually have to work with PG&E to modify the connection according to their standards. But there is water, electricity, and all the other things that are necessary for Hirsch to function.
And basically, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, go ahead, Gerald.
I was just going to say that there was a prior incident and water line problem before our time. And I guess they enjoined the two lines together. And so when they were shutting off the water, they didn't realize that they were also shutting off the water for Hearst. So they had to figure out how to put a cap on one and turn the water on the other. So
Right.
that was the issue. And those didn't read in the specs that we had.
It's true.
Right. And unfortunately, you know, as Gerald said, that actually wasn't documented in any of the as-built that we had. Even Nick Ampom was like, I don't know where this thing came from. I've never seen this before. So we definitely were challenged by that. And we found a solution. And so we're hoping that we can get that resolved. And not hoping, we are going to get everything resolved and back on track prior to school reopening in August. So, but that's the latest and the greatest for Horner. That budget is at $98 million. We do have some outstanding change orders that we're in the process of evaluating. So I don't have a correct number or a final number for you all to say, hey, these are how many change orders we have. We are on task to be within our program budget, but I'm anticipating with these kind of challenges that we just ran into with the water and the gas, that we probably are going to have some other change orders down the road before we're finished with this project. The next project is, and I'm sorry, the completion for that is winter of 2020. So Horner, the play fields, the structures, and all of the conversion should be completed by mid-November, early December, for staff and students to fully occupy and own the site come January of 2021. The last project that I'm sorry, that's my screen. The next project is the voice over IP and the clock and the bell and speaker upgrades. That
Hey,
project,
Kelly?
yes.
Kelly, we're starting to kind of run short on time.
Oh,
So
I'm
if you
sorry.
could-
Let me.
Yep.
So the voice over IP project is ongoing. It's district wide, and that work is going to be ongoing through the rest of the year and into next year. The next project is the Walters Middle School modernization, and that project has just a little bit over 10% of the work that still needs to be done, and that is the ADA modification to the thresholds to the classrooms, and that's going to be completed this summer. Then we have two projects that are in closeout, which is Walters Middle School new buildings. And as you all know, that has been occupied, and we're in the process of doing our closeout documentation. And then Washington High School new classroom is also a project that is in closeout, and we're in the process of finalizing and getting all of our final paperwork into the state for approval. So I'm sorry I took so long, but I hope that I was able to answer everybody's questions.
Right. I mean, Kelly, has there been any new vandalism impacts that we need to know about?
Yes, actually the district office, 2 of our cameras were broken and ripped down on Monday.
All right.
So we're in the process of looking at how to not let it happen again, and then evaluating kind of repositioning them, because whenever people start breaking cameras, then that's like the next step, that they're going to start breaking into the actual building.
Right.
We have a couple vagrants, and they're not really vagrants, they're just people who live in mobile homes that are parked outside the district office, and they've started to park in the parking lot and kind of fix their cars. And if you go there after 7 or 8 o'clock and it gets dark, there's a lot of activity, and so we've been calling the police department to kind of come and clear them out and move them along. But with everybody, they go and they come back. So right now we have 77 incidents, and the last incident occurred yesterday at Durham, and there was a restroom that was broken in and vandalized, and 2 sinks were broken off the wall. So that's what happened this week. So the district office and then Durham Elementary is reported.
Kerry, is there a plan to install the cameras that we had been talking about for the security, especially the areas where we want to?
So right now, our stopgap measure is to do the wireless cameras. They're pretty inexpensive, but they're not a permanent fix. So we have an RFP that we're going to be releasing for a security company to come and do a security study for us. And we're working with the police department to get our, area police reports for all of our attendance areas and identify kind of hot spots where but we've either experienced problems or the police have documented a series of problems so that we can then say, hey, we now have data to show these are the trouble spots and these are the areas that we need to focus on and make sure that, we address security and concerns. And so we're looking at cameras. We actually have increased police patrols. And then our security company is also increasing patrols around all of the active sites. So there's always someone looking, and we have noticed since we've done this that the incidence rates have started to go down, but they're also correlating with people now being able to go out and not be so sequestered and shelter in place. So we're trying to see if there's a sort of a link between that, but we're happy that we're not getting the rash of incidents that we had initially in early March and April and early May. So
Have there been any arrests? Any arrests? Have the police made any arrests?
not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. I can ask Nick and Kevin, but they don't usually share that out in the directors meetings. So I'm not really sure if they have made any.
Okay.
And to that end, I have colleagues both at Evergreen Community College District, who also has a bond program in San Jose, and Oakland Unified School District, who has they have a bond program as well, and both are having issues with vandalism. So.
Okay.
I just wanted to let everybody know there's 19 minutes left and you have a full agenda ahead of you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, let's quickly go over any school board action items. Either Kelly or Brandy. And if there is none, that's fine. We'll keep moving.
The only two action items that I have for the school board for this next meeting that are, I guess, relevant to this committee is the approval of the Centerville colors and fencing, and then the update on the Hopkins project that is going to be coming before the board reviewing the schedule.
Okay. Sounds like pretty normal.
What do you mean Centerville colors?
I'm sorry, Vinita, what did you say?
You said Centerville colors, right?
Yes.
So you meant to say the exterior paint?
Yes. Yes. The interiors are going to be the district standard. And so there were meetings with the site staff and there were options provided and they voted. And so we'll be presenting what those results are and the board will make their decision on, the information that's provided.
Okay.
There was a discussion, I think there was a not Newark, but New York school that Dr. Wallace and some of the parent and other committee members went to see. And there was a discussion about changing the interior paint to increase the focus of students. Have you guys looked into that?
It's my understanding that that occurred prior to my arrival. And I believe that the new standards that they adopted were very much in line with those colors that they had identified after that visit.
Okay.
But I can verify for you and get back to you on that.
Thank you so much, because it matters if it is changing student behavior by just changing the color, then it matters.
Absolutely.
Okay. And Brian, you sent me an email either yesterday or today regarding the special topic. Why don't you just summarize what you indicated to me regarding the next round of bonds?
Yeah, sure. Just real quick. Any discussion about future bonds originates from the board. There hasn't been any discussion of late, and I'm not aware of any discussion being agendized for any future meetings. But should that discussion start, I can't really speculate. I know the question was posted about dollar amounts and projects that would be included. I can't speculate on anything like that. As you all know, our needs assessment put us at about $1.6 billion in facility and infrastructure needs. The numbers undoubtedly increased since 2014, but I can't say for certain what dollar amount would be targeted and what projects would be prioritized. If Kelly has some insight, feel free to jump in. But however, in the absence of any discussion of a future bond, I know Kelly and the facilities department are in the process of developing a long-range master plan, and we'll be doing a presentation to the board in September. This is being done in kind of a proactive way to fulfill some requirements and to meet some deadlines. So should the board decide to start pursuing a bond, we'll be on the right timeline to get it on the ballot. So that's really all that's going on right now.
Okay, good. So that's actually a pretty good segue into the next topic, which is a future topic for August, a long-range facility master plan forecast. Is August the right time or is September the right time?
Chip, I would actually move it to September. I think September would be a better fit because then by then we should have hopefully a pool of architects that we have solicited information from and kind of had the conversation with the board to know what direction they want, to give us direction on what they want us to do.
Okay.
Chip,
So
just
actually,
I have a question. Does this committee normally meet in the summer? Like, do we normally meet in July and August?
Well,
'Cause
we're going to actually talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you hold on just one second, let me finish up the future topic. So would September be the right time or actually October? Because are you going to have to brief the board first before you can brief us, or?
I think August is too soon. I think
August is too soon. I understand that.
I think September is more appropriate.
September. Okay, I'll put down September. Okay. And that takes us into Carla. You bring up a good point, Carla. Usually we do take 1 month off, right?
I thought it was 2. I don't remember meeting in July. Yeah, Kathy's
Do we take 2?
We usually don't meet in July or August, from what I recall. And Brian can.
Okay, I was thinking we took 1,
also
but if we take 2,
chime
we'll take
in.
2.
Do we normally, Brian? I mean, I don't recall. Like.
That's my experience. Is that normally July and August we don't meet, then resume in September.
Okay.
And that any summer meetings would be special meetings for a special reason. I know.
Okay.
I just checked my calendar for last year. No meetings in July or August.
Okay. So why don't we let's make a motion and do our formal part of this business and say a motion for no meetings July and August. Who'd like to make?
So actually the school board website doesn't reflect a schedule for meetings for us meeting in July or August either.
Oh.
So I kind of feel like it's flipped. Like we would not meet unless it was a special meeting, because the meeting dates for our committee are already on the website, like, published in advance. And if you go on the website, there's no meeting dates past this meeting.
Okay, then we don't need a motion.
I would just say my recommendation is to vote on your next meeting date, which would be the
September
first Wednesday in September. And is that Labor Day? I don't know. Then it would be the following Wednesday. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, yeah.
And have your calendar for the rest of the year at that meeting.
So September would be September 2nd.
Sharon, do you know when the first meeting of the board is in September? And you're on mute. Sorry.
First meeting in September is Wednesday, September 9th is the first meeting. It's usually the 2nd and the 4th Wednesdays of the month.
So September 9 is the first meeting of the board. So September 2nd is the first Wednesday of the month.
And that is not Labor Day, right?
No, Labor Day falls on the 7th.
Thank you.
Mhm.
There you go, guys. There's your date.
Okay, so we'll meet on, our next meeting will be September 2nd.
Okay.
Okay, the next topic we have under other new business or discussion topics is last year, the school district provided for a person to take the minutes and formally document the minutes. Is the district going to be able to do that, or am I stuck?
Nope, we're gonna take care of it. Brian, you want to speak to that?
I've been kind of getting familiar with things and slowly kind of transitioning into it. But Chip, I've been providing you my notes the last couple of meetings, and I'm happy to take it over officially if you'd like.
Okay, let's make that for this meeting or in September.
I only intend to do a complete recap here, so we can do it for now. We can do it now.
Okay, well, I'll send you my notes, and we'll do like we've been doing.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Brian.
I guess a follow-up to that question is, is there going to be a replacement for Ken that is going to be?
There is not. One of our budget solutions, that position was eliminated. So.
Okay. Okay.
But you're picking up his responsibilities, or at least some of them.
Yeah, a little bit of a hybrid. I'm the public information officer for the district as a whole, but there's obviously some crossover that makes sense. So yeah, I'll be filling in some capacities.
Okay, good. All right. Are there any other discussion items that anyone would like to bring up? We've got a little bit of time.
I want to thank Chip for doing a hell of a job at keeping us informed. I don't always get all my emails, but it's been excellent.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
I'll agree with that. And I also want to thank Kelly for the detail. I know we spent a lot of time on it, but I actually appreciated that.
That was good too. That was also good.
Well, you guys are very welcome. I'm sorry. I've been reprimanded in the past that I talk too much and I give too much detail. And so I apologize if I talk too long, but I'm always of the mindset. I think it's important for you guys to know, history behind items so that one, you don't misspeak when you're out amongst your colleagues, and then that you actually do have the most accurate information, because there's nothing worse than repeating something that's wrong and then having to be corrected in a public forum because somebody gave you wrong information and you're like, duh. So if I get too long, you guys always feel free to just stop me and like pull my hand and be like, Kelly, too long. But I'll always try and be as transparent as possible with you guys.
Kelly, I'm in your club.
I guess I'm in that club too. So I would definitely open it up to the other committee members to push back on.
Hope that wasn't coronavirus, but that's probably just SARS from last year.
Chip, can I ask, are we going to make the topic for the September 2nd meeting the long range facility plan, or is that still too soon for Kelly?
Well, she said she'd be ready in September.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that will be the special topic. And, we'll give her, 15 minutes or something like that.
Isn't the first meeting back elections?
I was going to bring that up also. Are we supposed to elect my replacement?
No, you can't leave yet. We're keeping you.
Well, they can re-elect you, Chip.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's a good idea.
I don't think there are any term limits.
There's no term limits. What are you talking about?
We're going to decrease your paycheck, though.
Well, I was hoping for a raise, Paul.
Well,
at least a 15.
Nothing. 0 over 0 is nothing.
You're gonna owe money if you keep decreasing it.
Kelly, I wanted to say thank you to you because you did an awesome job with report, and you don't talk too much because I take that crown. So stand behind me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you so much for doing this meeting. And it was an awesome experience,
Good.
even though it is on Zoom, but we did a good job.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Vanita,
it's working
you
out fine.
can't go anywhere.
Beg your pardon?
I said you can't go anywhere.
Well, I guess I'm stuck.
Yes.
You know, one
Thank
more
you,
thing
Kelly,
with
for
regard-
being on top of all these individual items. It's good to hear that somebody's watching them. At least we get an explanation.
Well,
Once.
you guys have to get, you know, you have to give Gerald and Brandy all the credit because I just make a phone call and say, guys, here's what I need, make it happen, because I just don't have the time to like monitor the minutia, and they are always, whenever I call them, like boom, it's done and it's perfect. So give them their kudos. Yay.
Good job.
Well, in the short time I've been a part of this, that it's always great to hear the real numbers, the real facts of what's going on. And Brandy's always been very good at it, and so have you. Gerald, I look forward to meeting you. I don't think I have yet.
I feel the same way, Paul. Thank you. You are our liaison to the public, so we have to equip you with the most relevant and detailed information that we can.
Oh, I'm the tax man. I'm going to fight for my taxes every chance I get. And the school taxes, my kids and my grandchildren aren't in the schools anymore. I got great grandchildren now. I'm careful about how we spend our money, because the tax up, we know.
Let's see, Carla or Kathy or whoever knows, do we have any members that will be finishing up their term and be leaving us in September? And we need to really be hunting for new membership. Does anybody know?
I think we're still missing 2 alternates.
I know we're missing 2 alternates, yes.
And then
I'm just wondering if anybody in the Hollywood squares of folks that we have on our screen right now,
Hollywood
if anybody
squares.
knows they're supposed to be stepping down and moving on, or is everybody coming back?
You know, I don't know. I think Ken used to keep track of that for us, Brian. So I don't know if he has any records about because it's either 2 years or 3 years, and it's just like a random, like you pick a number out of a hat depending on the name of the person as to whether they're a 2-year or a 3-year, and then I think I recently re-upped, and so did Jeff. So I don't think either of us, or Chip, you too, I think, right? There was like 3 of us that recently were approved by the board, just I think this past school year. So I think Jeff and I are not our terms are not expiring anytime soon, but I can't speak for everyone else.
So Chip, I think we need to get those records from who is keeping those records.
I think the information is on the website, if I'm not wrong. Last I checked, it was over there.
Is
I
it
don't
on
know
the
if I'm
website?
there or not. Yeah, it was on the website.
Chip, this is Sharon. I can look at the documents that I have in the office next week, and it should have the term expiration on there and how many seats will be coming up and when. And the other thing is, I did receive early last week through email interest and an application for someone to serve on the CBOC.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, that's fantastic. Who?
Yeah. I
Do you
don't
remember the
remember
name?
the name. No, I apologize. I don't have it on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, I was going to email you, but this was the perfect time for me to let you know that someone is interested in serving. And so this probably won't go to the board until the end of July. But I will look at the people that are on the committee and when their terms expire, and I'll let you have that information.
So what is it? I can't remember what our process is. When we get an application like that for someone to serve, does it come
goes
to
to
us
the
first?
board. No,
It goes straight to the board?
Yeah, it goes to the board. The application goes to the board, and I provide the ballot for them to choose. And then we also attach what you guys are talking about, which is the slate of people that are serving, in what capacity they're serving, if it's a taxpayer association or whatever.
Right.
And then that goes along with it to the board with a ballot, and they see the application.
Yep. Okay, we're just about done. Okay,
One
that
super
sounds
quick,
good.
one super quick comment. When you are looking at the records, Sharon, and also look, I know there are actually term limits. There's no term limits for the chair, but there are term limits.
Oh,
How many
okay.
terms you can serve, and some of us may be approaching that. I'm not sure. I can't remember. off the
Okay, I will look and see.
After my son's records, I'm surprised that they let me in.
Does someone want to call for adjournment?
I think we should adjourn. I call for adjournment.
Okay, all in favor?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye, and we're adjourned.
Okay, bye.
Have a great time, folks. Good to meet you on this medium.
You guys have a wonderful summer. Stay cool.
Thank you. You
Have a
all
good
take
summer.
care.
Bye,
Stay
guys.
safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty, bye-bye.